Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Wellness Lounge podcast series. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by one of our very own, Siobhan Mungovan of Siobhan Mungovan Coaching. You're very welcome, Siobhan.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for being part of this amazing journey that we have embarked on together with the others over the last 3 months. And I was really keen to really showcase the lady behind the Empowerment Coaching, because for those of you who don't know, I met Siobhan back in, I was thinking of it this morning, 2014.
Yes,
so yes, and I was managing Midwest Spina Bifida at the time, and one of the ladies that worked for me, Nessa, lovely lady, family support worker, I think you had reached out, or someone had reached out, and we heard that there was an amazing lady in Clare that was writing a book, Me and My Backbone, and we were like, what now? And and you had been involved in the association when you were younger, but then you embarked on your own journey and independence. So I remember that day meeting you in the kitchen in the centre, and I was blown away by you, Siobhan, and I've been blown away by you since. So I really wanted people to, get to know your personality, but hear about your inspirational journey. So thank you for taking the time today. So do you remember back then meeting? Do you have any memory of it?
I remember reaching out to Nessa, and like that, I hadn't been a part of the association for quite some time, because like you said, each and every one of us take a different journey in life.
Sure.
I was very fortunate that I had an amazing support network behind me anyway, but I decided to reach out to Midwest Spina Bifida Association. I remember that day I met Nessa in one of the hotels here in Ennis, and I was so nervous because I didn't know how to articulate myself or how to come across, but I need not have worried at all because I gelled with her almost instantly. And then meeting yourself and coming actually down to the centre, such a homely environment, and yeah, it was a beautiful experience for the first time, and me kind of stepping out of my comfort zone and back into an environment that I was involved with as a child, but not so much in my adulthood. So I do look back at it with very fond memories.
Yeah, and it was a very exciting and intense few months for you with your book launches and the book coming out and signing the book. And for any of you out there who don't know, Siobhan wrote a book, Me and My Backbone. Can people still get that book?
They can indeed. My own website at the moment is actually being redeveloped. So hopefully in the next few weeks it'll be available again back on my website. So it will, yeah.
Yeah, my mother, and you remember meeting my mother absolutely loved your book. She met you in the centre that day, and she felt she was meeting like a celebrity. She's like, there she is, I think maybe you signed the book.
Even meeting your own mum, it kind of made me feel like I was sitting down with my own mum. I just, again, kind of connected with her straight away and just found common ground. So beautiful woman.
Yeah, she was, and she was very homely, and she was very taken with you. So there you were, 6 years ago, you wrote about your journey, but at that time, I don't remember you. I know that you had done a certain level of personal development. It was obvious when talking to you. You were very self-aware, very driven. But what really sparked off your journey into personal development? And I guess for people then who are not putting it together, you were born with spina bifida. Yes. Yeah.
And that comes with its whole host of physical, emotional, and well-being kind of problems throughout the years. But I had gone to a lot of different areas of therapy, and I'm not afraid to say that. But I had found that life coaching really worked for me as a client, and I was a client, and I still am a client of life coaching. But at the time, when my book was being published, I was a client of life coaching for 7 years.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I worked with my life coach for 7 years, working on my personal development, basically working from scratch, because I didn't really know who I was as a person.
Yes, yeah.
I would say that I'm Siobhan Mungovan. I was born with spina bifida, but that's all I was. I didn't really know anything else. So I got to really knew who I was and what brings me joy and what brings me happiness and my true passion in life. And I guess with working with that coach, I was like, my passion in life is people. And I have a great interest in how other people see the world. And like, I love sitting down with people and different mindsets and different cultures and all of that. So I have a great in that. So
I remember meeting that man. I remember meeting you out in the West County, and I knew nothing about life coaching at the time. Isn't it funny how things turn out? Like, isn't it funny? Here we are, the two of us, life coaches. Yeah. And I really didn't. And to be honest with you, I knew nothing about personal development, but I was really taken with your drive, your awareness, your clarity, and also you never pretended to know it all or to be doing it all, but there was this hunger for knowledge and hunger for, you know, self-development. So when did you make that kind of transition from, you know, just receiving to training?
Well, after my book was published and all of that whirlwind of stuff that came with that, I kind of had said to myself, I'd like to go on down the road of studying psychotherapy. So I kind of started my studies with psychotherapy, but kind of found for me that it wasn't really for me at the time. So I kind of went and studied life coaching then. I was like, until I decide really what I wanted to do and how I wanted to help people, I was still a bit confused in what avenues I wanted to take. I do the life coaching with the Irish Life Coaching Institute in Dublin. And just ever since then, I just found this is what I want to do. I want to help people feel their pain, heal their pain, and move forward.
Love it. Yeah.
Think about moving forward, and it's nothing. I have nothing against psychotherapy, but just at the time, it really wasn't for me. I want to help and support people who have lost their spark in life, and to help them to reignite that, because each and every single one of us have the tools and techniques within us to ignite spark. We just maybe need some guidance and help along the way. And I'm no different to anybody else. Important.
Yeah.
Or you feel the same, Gillian. Just because we were coaches doesn't mean that our personal development journey just stops here and now. We're constantly learning, aren't we?
Constantly been challenged. And I was just saying that recently I've had some clients, they see me doing these interviews, they see me very present online, and they put a story around that, and the story is that, like, I have it solved, so I'm healed, I'm ready to go, I'm done, I'm cooked. And you know, and it's unfortunate that people do that. And you know, in times at the past, I've done that too if I've gone to a workshop, and that's why I think, you know, I really admire your authenticity, and I bring authenticity in anything that I do. I'm very, very honest, you know, about where I have a lack of boundaries, where I get triggered. I mean, usually, you know, you can tell by a coach's posts that they've had some kind of epiphany, and then we want to share, and it's usually because we've gone through something, you know, or we're finding something, you know, of a support. But I have to say I am super impressed by your hunger for learning, because I see on your social media, you're tuning into different talks, seminars, and you're upskilling all the time. What drives that? What drives that part of you that, you know, has that hunger for learning?
Well, I guess it's kind of done a 360. At the beginning of my personal development journey, I was kind of doing it because I felt it was the only area of my life that I could control, to kind of keep learning and keep doing stuff. But now I just want to improve areas in my life. Like, I would say that I've got certain resilience in particular areas of my life, and know that I don't have resilience in other areas of my life. And if I build a resilience in the areas that I don't have it built, I can help and support my clients a lot better, and to be present with my clients a hell of a lot better. And then I have particular interests in, like I was saying to you, I have particular interests in how different mindsets work and why we do what we do. it was like I'm just after doing an addiction coaching course.
Yeah.
And one of the statements that was said on the course was, don't tell me about the addiction, tell me about the pain. Because
Yeah.
I feel personally you do what you do because you're protecting yourself from something.
Yeah.
Like for me, one of my maladaptive coping behaviors would be people pleasing. I was to ask myself, what am I protecting myself from being a people pleaser? I would say the fear of being rejected.
Yes.
So I feel when you know why you do what you do, then that's just the way I learn. I can't really change something until I understand why I do what I do.
I am the exact same. I was only having a conversation with Denise, who's on the page also recently, and I'm a very quick thinker, and I would like to think that I'm intelligent, but when it comes to my own stuff, it kind of takes me a while to actually process and kind of go, oh, okay, because there is a need to understand. And then even with the understanding of it, of the limiting belief, of the triggers, it doesn't mean that it stops straight away, you know, that we can, because we're kind of conditioned in these behaviors and in these reactions. So I'm the same as you. I really want to get to the bottom of it, because how it shows up for you would be different to how it shows up, you know, for me. Really interesting what you're talking about there. Fear of rejection, very, very big one for me as well. And, you know, I would have the lapsed boundaries, you know, wanting to be liked, you know, wanting to be accepted.
Yes.
And, you know, it kind of, it's similar and then it's different as well, but it's similar and different for everybody. And that's why personal development is so crucial for people's happiness, for their peace, and for, you know, achieving what they want in their life, because we can listen to another person's story that inspires us, but it doesn't mean that's how it shows up for us in certain areas. So I think kind of going back to what you learned when you were receiving coaching back in the day, that like, listen, you love working with people, you love people, and then constantly looking out as we do, and then looking in, it's like, oh, you know, I was saying to you before the call, like so much has come up for me over the last few months, and it's amazing in one sense, and it's really challenging in another sense. So I think, you know, yeah, people have to be reminded that we're human beings and we're not perfect.
I know one of the things that has come up for me, and I'm not sure if it comes up for you, Gillian, I'd love to hear if it does, the element of looking for like reassurance externally and not having that reassurance internally is something I've struggled for many a year with it. I think with the whole COVID thing, it's kind of flipped a 360 for me, because I've been on my own for the last few months, so I really only had myself. So it's kind of built in a slight way. It's kind of built it into me that I had to cope within the house and say to myself, well, the only thing I can do now is focus on how I respond to what I do in this house. Whatever's going on outside that house, I have zero control over. So
wow, that's amazing. There's healing in that. I mean, I guess for me, absolutely looking for reassurance, again, that validation. And in a world where, you know, of the social media and the likes and the comments, and when we're putting our content out there, you know, especially because, you know, our content is very from the heart. So therefore, it's something that we felt and something that we've experienced. I don't know anybody out there that doesn't, you know, of our group, that doesn't speak from experience. So I don't think people fully understand how vulnerable we can be at times. And so I'd be lying if I didn't, you know, say that I got like, you know, reassured or happy when I saw people going, oh, that really resonated with me. But that's kind of, you know, it's not the reason why we do things. It's kind of the byproduct. It's kind of like the nice, because you're like, for me, it's always been important for me to make a difference. Always. I mean, that's why, you know, I put the group together so quickly, was because I wanted to make a difference. I felt there was an opportunity to really help and support people. And with the group that I kind of coordinated, I mean, I knew that there was heart, there was value, there was really an opportunity to really get in there and educate and support. And I do think that we ticked that box. But you know what was really interesting as well is a few weeks ago I was listening to a podcast with the lady Glennon Doyle. Glennon Doyle, have you heard of her?
No.
Check her out. She is an author. She's like an activist. She has, she's a feminist. I've only got to know her recently, so I don't know her bio off. But in this podcast, she was speaking with, I can't remember, I listened to her being interviewed by Brené Brown, and I listened to her being interviewed by Fern Cotton, and I equally enjoyed both. And on one of them, she was talking about how women, tend to look outside themselves for answers. And she kind of relayed a story where she was watching her daughter at a party, and it was really, really interesting, because for her it kind of had this almost aha moment when she realized, yes, even her as a child, we are trained and conditioned to go ask for help, and little boys are trained and conditioned. This is her, and I tend to agree, people may not, you may not, are tend to look within, go figure it out for yourself. And I thought, wow, that is actually so true, just go figure that out. And so therefore what happens then is women can, start to hold the belief that they need to look outside themselves, so they need to be validated by someone else, they need to check in with someone else. Now, not to say that men don't have those beliefs as well, we're just talking kind of generalizations, but then men can see asking for help as a weakness, and expressing it. And I just thought, oh my God, like even saying it now, like there's hairs up the back of my neck, because I'm like, yeah, that's the generation I grew up in, boys would just figure it out, go figure it out. And girls were, go ask your mother, go ask your father, or, check that out, or check that with the teacher, or whatever it could be. And I definitely 100% felt, I was constantly checking, is this okay? Is this okay? Is this okay?
Even remember in the group itself, like I remember messaging you a couple of times thinking, is this okay to say? Is that okay to do?
Yeah.
Constantly kind of, again, making sure that everything is okay, and not to kind of believe in yourself that it's okay and you're only doing something for the greater good kind of thing.
Absolutely. And, I'm not sure when the beliefs stop showing up. I think how we respond to them starts to slowly, I suppose, transform the belief, and we can definitely let go of the beliefs. But it depends on, this is again my personal experience, because I'm in the process of changing lots of limiting beliefs in and around the same subject. But the triggers are still there. So the immediate thought, is the old belief that happens obviously subconsciously. So I think, when I was speaking to that lady, Ciara McGriskin, a few weeks back about her work, the RTT therapy, which is all about getting in and changing the beliefs, it's amazing. And I'm actually still working with her around this. I find it fascinating. I'd highly recommend it for people once they actually start to, now there's all different modalities of dealing with your beliefs, but this just seemed to really get in there. She talked about fear of rejection is probably the top belief. And it's not like we're going around, Siobhan, and saying, hey, how are you today? I really fear that I'm going to be rejected. We're not aware of it. Like, it's just in there,
And it's like you were mentioning there, it's the thought, like sometimes the self-limiting thought comes in so fast that you may not have time to catch it. And that's okay, like not to be so hard on ourselves that if we don't catch it all the time, it's a constant practice. And over time, when you practice, like anything, once you practice it over time, it gets easier and easier. I think an awful lot, well, I'll speak for myself, we can be our own worst critics at times. And if we don't get something right the first or second time, we're like, oh, here, to heck with that, like. But it's something that's a constant process and constant practice. And I'm still doing it to this day. And sometimes I may get up one morning and it could be gone down the drain, but then another day I could get up and everything could be fine. Like,
absolutely. Exactly. And it is about going easy on ourselves. And again, through my experience, people that I've met that are coaches, you know, are the best coaches because of what they've gone through. And it takes time to heal that as well. So our work definitely helps that, inspiring change in others, I think. Well, I should say my work helps that, and it helps inspire change. I'm constantly inspired and influenced by my my clients. I just love, you know, when I'm coaching them and there's an aha moment for them, or, you know, there's some kind of it resonates, or you're able to help them reframe a really insecure, limiting, you know, thought. But that's me. So what about you? Because empowerment coaching, like, how would you explain that to somebody? And I know we're going to talk about a few different modalities that you actually use to help people, but we always kind of positioned you in the group as the empowerment coach. So what would you, how would you describe that? What is empowerment coaching?
First of all, I'm a firm believer in practicing what I preach. So anything that I work with my clients is stuff that I'm doing myself, or stuff that I have done to get me to where I am. In relation to the empowerment coach, first and foremost, if somebody comes to me and they are not at the stage for empowerment, we work on the personal development, because you can't be empowered until you have come on your personal development journey. So there's two sides. The empowerment then is to keep your personal development going and to keep you striving and achieving to your true potential.
Okay.
Those would be, it's kind of an intertwine, but some people may come to me and they may have been on a personal development journey with the last 5 years, but they may have just slumped a bit, and then the empowerment is to keep them going. But I can't keep somebody going if they have no clue what personal development is.
I get you. Okay. All right. Okay. So with some people, then you'll kind of start with the basics. So what would be your basics then? Is that getting people to look at different areas of their life, like the wheel of life and values and all that?
Different areas of their life, what they want to work on. The awareness piece is huge, because I'm a firm believer, and maybe you may think differently, or viewers may think differently. Awareness is the first element of change. You can't change something until you're aware of it. And a lot of us have traits and habits that we could have for years and not realize they are maybe sabotaging us or detrimental to our emotional well-being or whatever. So once you're aware of something, then the element of change can come in. You can't change something that you're not aware of.
Exactly. Yeah.
Figure out, like we said earlier, to figure out why you do what you do. Because if you work on the element of change too quick, you'll break the links of the pattern. But if you don't understand why you do it, those links can be very easily re-linked again. So you want to break the pattern completely. So I work, as somebody else may think differently.
No, that speaks to me. That totally makes sense. I mean, I often say to people, you know, again, using different language, but saying, you know, action requires, like, you have to actually think. So it all starts with your thoughts, you know, drive your actions as such. So if you want that change, then, you know, for me, I work around people. What's their thought around that? What story are they putting around the current situation? And, you know, how can they kind of shift that story a little bit with the language, with their beliefs and their values as well. So I hear you, absolutely. And so with the type of client that you would attract in, I know right now you're doing your work online. Were you always doing it online, or was it kind of a blend of offline and online?
No, more often than not, it was offline. So coming online it's a bit different, but I was quite fortunate with the clients that I am working with, that they adapted to it fairly well. I don't know, going forward, would I be an online person? But look, it is what it is for the foreseeable future anyway, see what happens.
Absolutely. Yeah. I actually, for me, I was trying to push online anyway, because I was finding that sometimes, unless you have an office that people come to, people weren't always kind of comfortable with certain areas where you're coaching. And I really wanted to reach kind of international, which I have done now, which is great. I really kind of wanted to kind of broaden outside of just my local area. I just had a real passion for that. So for me, but I do know what you're saying. Sometimes trying to hold space and hold the emotions of a person online, it can be different. There's a shift in that, you know. And our training didn't specifically deal with online, so it's a kind of I think that's where supervision actually comes in handy. Kind of just trying to figure that out. But you know, recently I saw that you've been doing some EFT seminars as well. So you trained in emotional freedom technique.
The modern EFT. So
okay.
it's a bit different from your traditional EFT. So we just tap on words. It's the same kind of, we work on the energy body, and we work from a -10 to a +10. -10 would be obviously down and out and a very blue, and then +10 would be living in complete bliss. When I'm a modern EFT practitioner, I firmly believe that each and every single one of us can live at a +10 frequency. We just need into it. I have personally been using it as well. I've been using it for the last maybe 3 or 4 years now, because I was finally diagnosed with anxiety. So for me, it worked wonders. It's very simple that you can do anywhere and everywhere. So I'm a firm believer in it, but I know it may not suit everybody. Everybody has their own modalities that suit them. But
sure, yeah. But do you bring this into your coaching? Do you offer this to your clients as a technique to use?
Definitely.
Okay. Yeah.
But some people may take to it, and some people may not. Some people may get something from it. But it's definitely an offer that I have in my tool.
Yeah. So tell us, so then you have your life coaching, you kind of, you're very passionate about the empowerment coaching. You've recently done addiction coaching. You've trained in modern EFT. Are there other areas that you're looking to explore, or is that kind of your bag for now, and you're going to bring that out to the world and see?
A very, very, very good question. Very interesting question. I think I'm just the type of person that I'll always just be learning something.
Yeah.
Because I'm just that way inclined. I love learning. I love bringing different, because like I've done the addiction coaching, but like it's tools and techniques that you learn from each course you do, that you're going to kind of customize to make your own session. So you'll have a Gillian session. I'll have a Siobhan session, like, so they'll come to Gillian because Gillian has X, Y, and Z, and they'll come to Siobhan because she has X, Y, and Z. It isn't just, we're just life coaches. We're a whole heap of stuff. Like, so I hope in future that I'd be able to work on more trauma type of stuff and pushing on the pain, because I have been there myself, and to help people to sit with their pain, because I think a lot of us, we just like comfort. We don't like to be uncomfortable. So you have to sit with your pain in order for you to heal your pain, because a lot of us run from our pain and start going into doing things that are maybe not healthy for us. So to help and support people to sit with their pain.
Yeah, I think you're really like that author Glennon Doyle, because that's what she's all about. She talked about, you know, she developed bulimia as a little girl. I think she was 10 or 11. Now, I haven't read her book, but this is just from her story. And there's a Super Soul interview with her as well a number of years ago. So I was listening to all of them, because I don't know, she just kind of really spoke to me, and I can't even remember how I came across her. But anyway, she talks about her first AA meeting, because bulimia then led to, you know, alcohol, and she went to her first AA meeting within her first few days of giving up alcohol, and she was just so kind of pissed off with it because, you know, she held this belief you're supposed to feel better, you know, you're supposed to feel better. And an older or longer, we'll say, attending AA member took her aside and she said, if you're feeling the pain, you're doing it right, you know, you're doing it right. This is life. You're being present and you're allowing it. And she was like, oh, because like what you said, the other things, the addictions, the distractions are all numbing out that pain. So when you said that a while ago, that you're really passionate about people actually feeling it, healing it and moving through it. And she's all about the moving through the pain, you know, and I think we all have a bit to do there. I know I have a bit to do there as well, because we're so obsessed with being okay.
Yeah, it's like the emotional eating kind of, that would be kind of a behavior as well. And what we'd say in that kind of would be, what emotions are you eating? So obviously there's an emotional connection to your emotional eating. So tell me about the emotions. Don't tell me about the emotional eating. Tell me about your emotions. So you're talking about the person. You're not talking about the person who's drinking or smoking or overeating. Those are just the things that they're doing. I want to know you as a person and what's going on for you deep down inside. Yeah. So I think that kind of in a way comforts your clients in a way, because a lot of people are known for, oh, I'm this, or like for me, people would have said growing up, oh, the girl with spina bifida. So you're known for a particular thing. But I want to move away all of those labels and just sit with you as a person and get to know you and help you move forward.
Oh, I just find that really emotional. Like, I just think it's fab. I just think, because, you know, just as you're speaking there, like I've had these discussions with friends and coaches and different therapists, and, you know, we label, you know, drug addicts or alcoholics, and, you know, they're kind of judged because of these labels, but really they're just people who chose a substance to distract. And we all have our addictions, you know, like the emotional eater. I'm an emotional eater. I used to smoke. There's so many, sometimes people exercise, or the bulimia, or all these things, or even just the really crap thoughts about yourself, you know, going into the wrong relationships, all that. We all have it. We all have something that we use.
And another one that I found kind of interesting, and this one was definitely related to me, and when I heard it first, I was like, really, I do that? It was like, some people find anxiety living in your comfort zone. I'm like, well, I'm comfortable here, even though the anxiety's gone through the roof. I'm comfortable with doing this. Well, what about if you went outside your comfort zone? You're like, oh my God, that's the wolves.
Yeah.
You'd rather stay in your anxious state of mind than going out. Yeah, thank you, I would.
Yeah.
Interesting. I was like, oh my God, I do that.
Yeah, you know, and this is what's so amazing about like personal development. I mean, I didn't realize recently that like I create a whole lot of work to distract myself from, you know, so I set up like workshops and I do different things and events with friends. And it was only recently through working with this lady that I realized that, you know, I have this huge steam engine inside of me that's pushing always to be busy, to be something, because that little insecure girl inside of me, you know, I can't deal with her right now, you know. I'm starting to, you know,
much.
Yeah.
Because like even with COVID, like everyone was saying to me, like, Siobhan, you can't stay on your own, like with your own thoughts for 5 minutes. How are you going to manage this? And I genuinely had no clue before COVID started how I was going to do it. And 3 months later I have. So I think an awful lot of us please just don't underestimate your own potential that you have, because once you have that little bit of determination, that little bit of willpower, all you need is a small bit. Once you have that small bit, I'm telling you, girl.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mel Robbins, I put it up on the page a few weeks ago around, you know, changes that we need to make. Things that you're talking about there is, you know, break it up into small promises that you make to yourself, you know. And I think rather than looking at if someone set you down like at the beginning and say, okay, it's going to be 3 months now, well, then your anxiety would be through the roof. I think all of our anxiety and even at 3 months, it's kind of like, we're not too sure if it's ever going to be back as such, you know. So we really do need to develop that relationship and that kind of support for ourselves. You know, that's been massive for me, how I talk to myself and how I, you know, how I scare myself. Like, I often get my clients laughing because I'm like, okay, I'm just going to tell you what you've just said to yourself there about yourself. And they start laughing and they go, and I go, okay, would you have said that to your sister, your friend, your mother, your husband, your wife? And they're like, no. So why are you saying that to yourself? You know, so equally kind of what you're saying there is, you know, acknowledging how resilient you are, you know, how resilient we all can be. We can tap into that, you know.
You just don't even know it, like, because your inner critic is telling you constantly you can't do it, but find ways and tools to shut up that inner critic and put your inner strength, because we all have it. And like you've just said there, which I think is an amazing and very valid point, chunk it down, because that's exactly what I did for COVID. I think my first aim was the 29th of March, and I was like, once I get to the 29th of March, now let's like get back to normal. I was telling myself, we're going to be out, everything's going to be smashing. 29th of March, then I was like, all right, another 2 weeks. I was doing exactly what you just said there. Bite-sized pieces. That's really
and you know what's amazing is, you know, you'd show up on our page and you'd be putting across your content, and this is what I mean, that people, I'm not too sure if people were aware of, you know, giving it a consideration. Not that we expect them to, I mean, but like we were all going through this together as well, you know, and it's not something that even us as a team really talked about that much either, because everybody was so busy and everybody was in kind of either fight or flight, you know, probably fight, you know, because we couldn't fly off anywhere. And so like, you know, this time, so what I'm hearing is there's been a huge amount of personal growth then, you know, in this time.
And it's like what you said earlier about making promises to yourself. I said to myself when I enter, it's like I'm in jail the way I'm going to word this now. Like I said to myself, I'm going to enter this house, right? And when I exit this house, however it's long going to be, I'm going to be a different person.
Wow.
And I believe that I am a different person. I have developed patience, because one of the things that I am not, and I can totally own my own stuff, I do not have patience.
Me neither.
Do not have patience. So it's definitely something I've had to develop, because I'm going no place.
Yes,
I can only be given out to myself if I don't have it. So that was a promise that I said to myself. I'm going to exit this house a different person. And I firmly believe that I will exit this house a different person. Because I want to be able to, I don't want to be preaching to my clients. I want to be a lighthouse to my clients. I want to be able to practice what I preach. Like, so if I'm saying to my clients to work on your inner critic, and if my one is having the time of their life inside in my head and I'm just letting it go, like, that's not being authentic. Externally or internally. So.
I think there's a second book in the making, Siobhan. I can see it now. Watch this space. So Siobhan, if people do want to work with you, where can they find you? Give us all your social media and your website details.
Well, my website is under construction at the moment, but
okay,
www.keepsmilingalways.ie. So I'm keep my tagline, which has always been keep smiling always. So my Facebook handle, I think, is Siobhan Mungovan Coach, and my Instagram handle is Keep Smiling Coach.
Okay, and we're going to put that. I'll put that on the link below when I'm posting this. So, what is your tools for keeping smiling? What keeps you smiling, and what has kept you smiling over the last few months?
I know a lot of people would say 3 priorities you have in the day, and that's great if you're having a smashing productive day. 3 priorities, but if you're not having such an amazing day and you're feeling a bit blue, there's nothing wrong with that. So I would say to myself, what's your 3 wants for the day? What 3 things do you actually want to do today? Get those 3 things done. End of the day, because I'm sure, and I've said it on the page before, if I was to say to somebody to write about a negative experience you've had today, 90% of us could write pages because our minds are automatically on the negative code. But if I was to ask you, write for 2 minutes on a positive experience you've had that day, might be a little trickier, but again, it's about practice. It's about over time. And I know a lot of people know on the page that I'm crazy about journaling. I absolutely adore it because for me, it's about taking your thoughts out of your head and putting them somewhere because they're not doing you any good in your head. Take them. Voice notes is another thing, because I know a lot of people may not be comfortable writing, but whatever it is for you to get out of your head for that hour or 40 minutes.
Yeah, it is. It's so important. So Siobhan, I just personally want to thank you. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I now getting a fuller understanding of what you bring to the table as a coach, it's actually powerful. Like, it really is. So I would urge anyone out there, especially because you have been thinking about what you got out of this time and the reflection you have. So I think people need to go to you and talk about, the reflections that they've had, good and bad, and how they move forward. I mean, I fail to understand how people can live the lives that they really want to without doing some personal development. And that's not a judgment. That's just, I know myself when I met you in 2014, and I may look the same, but inside I'm different. And from what I'm hearing, so are you. And I think we're all here for a purpose as well. So actually, now using your knowledge to support and empower and help people on their journey, it's amazing. So I would really encourage people to look you up and get started on making some changes. And I look forward to watching your journey and bringing all the different modalities together as well. But again, thank you. I mean, so many people were inspired by your posts. I would say that you definitely are inspirational and authentic. And I think our values are very similar. So who knows, we might do a bit of work together at some stage, yeah, why not? I definitely have learned lots in this chat. So thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of the team. And I do hope that we can keep working together in some format in the future. And thank you. So have a lovely day, Siobhan.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.